Hi everyone, Steve here from RSM, and welcome to the latest edition of our Coffee Conversation series. Today I'm joined by Tom Waterhouse. Tom, really good to see you and meet you, and good to see you here in Brisbane. Tom will be known to many of you, I'm quite sure. He's a fourth generation of a racing dynasty, as you all would know. But I think today he's going to be talking about Waterhouse VC, and I won't go into any more details about that just yet. But Tom, once again, welcome. As I was saying, this is all about a chat over a coffee, just a casual conversation. So I need to ask you first, what's your coffee of choice?
I had a single espresso, and actually was never really a coffee drinker until COVID, but Starbucks was the only shop open in the city, and I was so hungry each day. I went and started with like a very milky cappuccino, and now have like 3, 4, 5 espressos a day. So
yeah, awesome.
I've got right into it.
Awesome, and great that you've kind of moved up from the Starbucks experience and you're enjoying.
It's good coffee here.
It's very good coffee. Yeah, I've got a oat latte is kind of my go-to, and you know, the hideout downstairs, very, very good good baristas. So yeah, thanks again, Tom. So maybe just to kick things off, as I said, many people out there will certainly know who you are. You're a man with quite a high profile and comes from a family with quite a high profile. So perhaps just tell us a little bit about Tom Waterhouse. Who is the real Tom Waterhouse?
Yeah, look, fourth generation bookmaker, and it came to my great-grandfather's a bookmaker in the 1800s. Grandfather was a bookie in the 60s and 70s. My dad started a professional betting syndicate in the 1980, was a bookmaker. I was a bookie straight out of university, early 2000s, and it was amazing business. Like it was so much fun. There was still activity at the races, lots of big betting. And then in 2008, they changed the advertising restrictions that allowed online bookmakers to advertise. If they weren't, let's say in Brisbane, they could advertise if they were based in the Northern Territory. Before that, you couldn't advertise on TV and social media and stuff like that. So that really changed on-course bookmaking. People started to go, the iPhone came out in 2008, you had 3G, and so everyone shifted to online. And I thought, well, gosh, I'm losing all my clients, I better start an online betting business. So we started TomWaterhouse.com, and it went from 100 customers to 250,000 customers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But at the same time, there was all of these overseas entrants like William Hill, Ladbrokes, Bet365 coming into Australia. And we just didn't have the scale to compete from a technology point of view and a head count and marketing budget. And William Hill did a $700 million roll-up of Sporting Bet and Centrebets businesses. And we were a small add-on as part of that acquisition. But they asked me to be CEO of that business from 2014 to 2018 when it sold to then PokerStars as part of the Flutter roll-up. So that was a really interesting experience. We had 500 people in the team, I don't know, 2.5 billion in turnover, 1.2 million clients. And so seeing how that sort of size operation running that, we had offices in Tel Aviv and the Philippines and here, it was really interesting. And then I had a 2-year non-compete. And so I thought, well, what am I going to do? I'd always been a bookie or in the betting industry, but I couldn't be an operator. And I thought, well, the interesting bit about the industry is that traditionally, if you wanted to make money in the gambling industry, which is a $1 trillion industry, you would focus on the operators like a Tabcorp or a Ladbrokes or a Caesars and an MGM. And they're quite reasonably easy for an analyst to understand because they're the same lines of the P&L, turnover, gross win, expenses, and net profit and stuff. But the suppliers to all those operators are a bit harder to understand. And what happened in around 2015, the taxation and regulation started to become much tougher for the operators. So all the margin that they were making prior to that period that went to them was suddenly going to the suppliers that got a percentage of gross revenue, the top line. So I thought in 2018 we had 170 developers in Sydney, another 100 in the Philippines. A handful of them came with me, and we basically just went and looked around the world to find great tech and invest in it. And we started Waterhouse VC 5 years ago.
Wow.
And have been for the last 5 years going around the world finding great tech suppliers and investing in them.
Yeah, so August 2019 was when you kicked off, and it's a very unique and a kind of a boutique offering that you've developed, and so it's exclusively around tech in the wagering and the gaming industry.
We actually do 3 things. So the first thing is that we invest in the tech suppliers, but what we do, which is a little bit different, is we buy an option in them. So we find a supplier. It might be an esports data supplier in Eastern Europe, or it might be a voice betting solution out of Ireland, or it might be a racing data supplier based here in Australia. And we say to them, look, we think your business is interesting, we think it can scale, but we'd like to buy an option for 3 years at an agreed price today. And then what we do is we hope that that business can grow and get many more contracts and grow its business, and we suddenly have a very valuable option, hopefully. Sometimes there's some duds, but sometimes there's some really good ones.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. That's our main first pillar of the fund. We focus on finding those businesses and then optioning them up. And then the second bit of the fund is that we've had several options come off, but one of the options that came off was a professional betting syndicate. So it's very hard to win at betting because you can win on the state of origin because you go, well, I've followed it closely and I think they've got the wrong odds of New South Wales wrong, and there's these players, Cleary's not playing or such and such is not playing. But the issue is if you're betting regularly, it's very hard because you've got a margin against you. The bookies have a margin in their favour. So you might have a really good idea on one match, but if you're betting 60 bets a week, the edge is not there for you because the margin's against you. But there's a few super groups around the world that can win at gambling. They build large statistical models with thousands of factors, similar to there's some groups in the financial markets like Renaissance Technologies and stuff. They build these models that can predict a truer probability than the bookmakers can. And they can win huge amounts of money. So you've got Tony Bloom in the UK that owns Brighton Football Club, got an MBE from the King. He has around 1,600 people working for him, working on finding what he believes is the true odds on each football match. You've obviously got David Walsh and Jelco. David Walsh owns Motor Museum, one of the largest betting racing syndicates around the world, and a few other groups like that. And we invested in optioned up a tennis betting syndicate, a young guy, very intelligent, who used to work for Tony Bloom. Converted that option, and we have, as a second pillar of our fund, we have a dividend coming from, we've optioned up several betting syndicates, but several betting syndicates, we have a dividend play is pillar 2. Pillar 1's obviously the options, pillar 2 is the dividends from the betting syndicates. But we have a third pillar is that when we can't find an option or the options aren't ready to convert, we sit in a lot of cash in the fund. And the third pillar is we follow the 16 best performing long-term funds, long only, so the likes of Berkshire, Bridgewater, Third Point, Apollo, Tiger and so on. And we go through the 13F filings every quarter. And then we apply 4 proprietary screens to those 13F filings. And then we evenly weight against those positions. So we hold an equities strategy, which is around 15 to 20 companies each quarter that we invest in, evenly weighted. And the money sits in those equities while we're waiting to convert an option. So if we need to convert an option, we sell down evenly the equities, or if we have a redemption, or if we have anything, we sell down the equities. Average market cap of those equities is 60 billion market cap, so they're highly liquid. And we buy or convert the option. And that's basically the 3 pillars. The options has given us, we've compounded 100% per annum for 5 years, 31 times our investors' money. That's come primarily from the options. The dividends is a nice dividend stream for our investors, and we sit in this equity strategy. The equity strategy, since we began, that 13F equity strategy has outperformed the S&P by 7.9% since we started doing it. But we're not looking to outperform the S&P. We just want to be similar to the S&P, where our investors' money is parked in an equity strategy, hopefully getting them good return, while we focus 99.99% of our time finding great technology companies. That's our edge. We don't have an edge in equities. We think this is a savvy strategy, but our edge is all about finding technology and focusing on the area that we know best.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fascinating, Tom, in terms of it's a kind of a pivot for you from, comes out of the tradition and the family tradition in the bookmaking side of things, and a pivot into technology and into the funds side, and I guess leveraging, and you're a commerce graduate, if we wind the clock back even further, and developing that really, what is a really unique offering in the market in terms of the fund that you offer. One thing I'm just kind of keen to, to switch the conversation a little bit, and just get your thoughts on, now we're together sitting here in Brisbane as well. And of course I love our city. We've got an amazing facility that's currently being built, and it's due for, I think its first stage opens in a couple of months' time, and that's the Star. And of course there's some real challenges that are out there at the moment in the sector. What do you see in terms of the greatest challenges I guess in the short term, in sort of the gaming and the wagering sector as well, and where are those coming from, and what do you see, going forward in the future in terms of the opportunities out there? And really keen to get your thoughts as well. We're obviously on the road to 2032 here, to the Olympics. That gets everyone in Brisbane pretty excited. Some people get a little bit scared by the infrastructure spend that's out there, but I think it's an enormous and a very beneficial investment for the state going forward. But just keen to get your thoughts on kind of the challenges and the opportunities in the industry sector as well.
Yeah, I think the challenge and the opportunity is sort of linked very closely together. We don't really closely follow land-based and gaming. We stick very narrow in an area that we know well, which is online, more sports betting and racing focused. But as a general overview, I think what changed considerably is the shift to online in 2019, 2020. Obviously, COVID was a big disruptor. And the issue that we've got now is that online, it's a $30 billion industry in Australia, gambling. So about 10% of that is horse racing and sports betting, and the rest is casino, lottery, pokies, and all casino games. But the casino portion of it is not allowed online. And I think from society's point of view, it's all around player protection. But the issue is that there is now a lot of people that are sitting at home on a rainy night. They go, well, look, I just can't be bothered to go into the casino or the RSL or whatever, and they're finding ways to bet online. So I think that's a challenge, that there's a lot of leakage going to not regulated Australian operators that are paying tax, doing the harm minimisation. But I think that is also the opportunity of how does that get stopped, that there is that player protection, and how do existing operators use their learnings that they've got around player protection, harm minimisation, and find a solution that the government and the consumers are both better off. So the government from a tax point of view, and knowing that there's actually proper rules and considerations put in place, and the consumers knowing that when they're betting with people that are actually going to pay them, not steal their data, not steal their funds. They know who they are and these sort of things. So I think I have no idea if that's a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year. But I think finding the solution, because you can't stop if people want to do stuff online. It's a hard thing to do. So finding the right solution, that's not an area we focus on, but I think that's a challenge and an opportunity in that space. And again, and when to your question around Brisbane and infrastructure, that's not an area we understand well. I just assume you can't. It seems like you can't go wrong investing in Australia, and also great places. I'm from Sydney, but great places like Brisbane or Melbourne, everywhere in Australia is fantastic, isn't it?
It is.
Great weather and food and people. It's
we love it.
It seems like it doesn't sound a bad bet to me, but not an area that I understand well.
No, understand entirely. And I think we're very fortunate. We live in a wonderful country, and as you said, Sydney and Brisbane, both great cities in the world. So Tom, look, thank you so much for coming in and having a chat to me this morning. Thanks for sharing a little about the background about Waterhouse VC, fascinating fund, thanks once again for joining me.
Thanks, thank you.
Thanks everyone for tuning in once again. Hopefully you gained a little insight there from Tom, and look forward to seeing all of you again next time. Thanks.